So, welcome, Sina, to the Founders Speak Unplugged podcast.
Thank you.
Let me tell you something that you don't know.
Sure.
You're the very first lady who's going on this absolutely new format called the Founders Speak Unplugged globally.
Privilege.
So that's a position nobody is going to be able to ever take away from you. So congratulations. But let's get started. Give us 30 seconds on about yourself and about your business.
Yeah,
Just
so-
a very quick 30 seconds.
Sure. So I have a background as an economist that shifted into computer science and have worked with self-service in a lot of different industries. And about 15 years ago, I came into the largest Danish bank and headed the self-service advisory platform for pension advisory. And I came with my backpack of e-commerce tools. And nobody had told me that you're not supposed to use e-commerce tools in the financial sector. So it became customers reacted really well, and it was quite successful commercially as well.
Nice.
And then I moved into another bank, a larger mortgage institution, and sort of moved in other banking products.
Okay.
And so that made me realize that there's so much innovation that is being untapped in the financial sector in Denmark and globally. And one of those perspectives is that a retail banking customer is being
Totally ignored.
greatly ignored, totally underserved. And that's not such a big thing if it wasn't because that means that people are not becoming as wealthy as they could be with the amount of money they earn every month. And that's a tragedy. So I quit my job as heading the digital innovation department in this large bank. And I started the fintech I started.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So you're brave already, we know that. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to hang up your corporate boots, let go of the monthly salary and the paycheck. It's a very comforting thing to know that your salary keeps coming, but you took the plunge. The reason we built this podcast, this platform, is to take lessons that you may have learned, both good and bad, as an entrepreneur since you started. And in this next short segment, I'm very keen to learn from you a couple of instances where things didn't go to plan as you had thought or you were expecting them to be, and reflect on them, looking back, to tell us what those moments were, and then tell us how did you actually overcome that unexpectedly negative moment that occurred in your journey.
Yeah. So I think, it's always hard to fundraise. I think even if people are pretending it was easy in the 2021, it was hard, even if there were more money, right?
Yeah.
So I think but let's get back to that because that's actually a positive, I think. So the negative was more than when we did fundraise our first round, I just thought this is going to be easy from now on, right? And I onboarded some people, still not being able to meet salaries of the people I would have really liked to onboard. And I think that when I look back, that was a negative moment or a bad decision on my part, because I think just wanting to prolong your runway by onboarding people that you can hire cheaper, but maybe not have the competencies you need in that moment is something you should reconsider.
We've heard that so often from entrepreneurs that it's a constant battle between keeping the runway or hiring the right people.
Exactly.
There is no science in this. There is no art in this. You take a decision and then you hope for the best.
Exactly.
So you extended runway.
I extended the runway. And I also have to say, though, that I always knew which people, I always knew who I wanted on board as my CTO. I knew him from one of the banks. I always knew who I wanted on board as my chief data officer. I always knew him from before. I knew that they had really good jobs and they were very happy in their current position. So I also knew that I would really need to offer something to onboard them. And I think that we needed to get to another stage before I could convince them to give up their corporate jobs and go on board on a much, much lower salary, but of course with ownership in the company.
Yes.
So it was a bad moment going through, thinking we didn't move fast enough or that we didn't scale fast enough. But it got us to the place where I could de-risk the business so much, so I could get these two really genius people on board my team.
And so one of the things that I've heard from several founders on the show is that when they chose to extend the runway versus hire the best, let's say,
Yes.
and if those best were in the technology space and they land up building something, and then now you have the runway, maybe you have some customers, so there's some revenue that's coming in, so not just the funding, but now you have revenue, and now you want to bring somebody on the top of that person, or you want to let go of that person and bring somebody else.
Yeah.
The tech stack tends to suffer.
Sure.
Because the new person says, "Oh, this is built wrongly," or "It should have had that," and "Why are you using this?" And so, did you go through some of that?
I did. I knew I would go through that. Because even in a corporate, you also have that dynamics in your tech teams. So the guy that is now my CTO, I had asked him if he would be a tech advisor from the beginning. So he was always advising the tech team on architecture.
Interesting.
And also on the principles that we knew we had to refactor every 6 months.
Yes.
So when he got in, I knew and he knew that he had to refactor most of the stack.
Amazing. So that's a very useful insight, that if you have a long-term plan, you could always have the ultimate person you want to hire be involved with the organization since the start in maybe a advisory capacity or in a
senior consultant,
part-time capacity.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Okay. So that's a good learning. Thank you.
Also the awareness that as a tech startup, don't overthink the architecture from the beginning, because this is, a lot of people say this, but this is also my concrete experience, that if you just think about the architecture, you need to get to that place where you have your first customer, then you are fully aware that you're going to spend money on refactoring and thinking of the next step in your architecture. It's going to benefit you in the long run. You need, of course, to take in that you feel you're throwing out good code you paid for, right?
Yes.
But it's beneficial to have that mindset.
Interesting. So now what you're saying is that the minimum viable product, or the MVP as it is called, which is your version 1, which got you, let's say, 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 customers. If you already from the very start know that this is likely to dramatically change once you have some real customers, some real revenue, it makes it easier to digest the change. Exactly. But if you suddenly come up with a new hire who says, "Oh, this is all rubbish, and no, this cannot be. We have to start from the start," it can be a shock.
Exactly. I think it's very good to internalize, just for your mental wellness, to just internalize that code is, we think of it as the most non-organic thing, but it is really to be thought of as something really organic, I feel.
Amazing. Okay. So is that a second insight, or you have a different one also?
I do actually.
Go ahead.
No,
We'd love to hear.
My second insight is that when I worked in the last bank, I had a really good colleague who was a financial advisor, really sharp woman, and I wanted her on board as well, because I'm not educated financial advisor. I've worked as a digital support to financial advisory, right?
Sure.
And I got her in the same way as with the CTO. She became an advisor to the company. But my idea was always to onboard her in the management team and for her to head the digital advisory. And she did. She left her corporate job. She got onboarded. And then over time, she didn't succeed in appreciating being part of a technology company. And she started not being happy about her job.
Yeah.
And she was a close personal relation as well. So the idea that I had taken someone out of a very good job with a very high salary, where she was happy, and brought her into something she felt she didn't feel happy about, was quite a challenge for me. And,
of course.
she's very clever, and she was headhunted by an advisory company, and everything landed in a very good way.
Okay.
For her and for us. But we both had a period of time where we thought, how could we have seen this so wrong? We're creating a digital advisory platform. Of course, one of the most important people is a financial advisor.
Yes.
But the skill level, the idea that you need to become a part of a technology company, and that my orientation towards being 100%, well, a 99% technology company once she had left the company was also quite healthy for the company, but I hadn't seen that. Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. No, again, it's amazing that what you're saying, so many founders experience it, but nobody learns it without doing it. So you can give advice to anybody, but they say, no, but I know what I'm doing. I've been with this person for a very long time. I'm an entrepreneur myself. We, three of us who knew each other for 30 years came together, 20 years came together. And then about a year and a half into the journey, one of the three of us said, I'm out. This is not for me. And I said, what are you saying? I mean, how is this even possible?
Yeah.
And so sometimes we take things for granted about people, and they don't turn out to be the way they were. Okay, let's move to some happy moments.
Sure.
So tell us an instance where an outcome was way beyond your expectations in a good way.
Yeah.
That something that you were expecting to get less of or to take too long, actually you got a lot more of, or it got done in very short time, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Is there a moment that you absolutely love from your journey?
I absolutely loved when we rose the large first round, and not because of the money. Actually, of course, it did save the company.
Of course, yeah.
But I had spent a lot of time talking to both funds and individuals, business angels and high net worth individuals. And we were getting closer and closer to the cliff. And so I thought, okay, so this is a make or break moment. Either I go back to my corporate life, and then that was an experience.
Yeah.
Or I reach out to the people I really think can contribute to the company going forward.
In addition to money. So separate
exactly,
from money. Yeah.
So they bring money, but they have knowledge about self-service, technology, and the financial sector.
I see.
Because I could feel that at that time, this is 5 years ago, open finance wasn't such a big thing in Denmark, at least. So a lot of the people I talked to just said, you're never going to be able to work with the banks. They don't have APIs. They don't have that mindset of using other distributors.
Yeah.
And so I spent a few days calling the 7 people that I just really thought had some insights, and I had felt that they really understood the business from the get-go. So the questions would be on de-risking their investment, but the core of the business and the potential they really did understand.
Yeah.
And the absolute happiness I felt when they all said, yes, we're in.
Yeah.
And we got that together, and I landed that investment. So we landed what we wanted to land, but through 7 high net worth.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Was just such an amazing experience, and the way they've supported the journey. Not just through further investment, which they have. Yeah. But supported me as a person, reached out to coach me when they obviously felt that there was a bit of a low point.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the fact that my investment journey, I feel, has been quite different from a lot of people who took in a fund, and not that people who work in funds are bad people. They're just working maybe with a different mindset. Yeah. Or maybe not. I don't know, because I haven't.
Oh, yeah. So, founders do reach out to experts who they believe can add value. Sometimes these experts invest and take on the responsibility of supporting from the outside. Sometimes you get them as, you give them sweat equity as advisors, and, without they investing anything. In both scenarios, it often works out. So, and it's such a great feeling, isn't it, to actually have 7 people who say, okay, I'm going to write you a check, I'm going to write you a check. It just feels really great.
It just the fact that you meet someone who believes as much in the idea as you do is just such a, because of course, I mean, no one, well, maybe someone, I'm not as confident as to think that I have this idea, I believe 100% in the idea, so it must be the idea.
Yeah.
Of course, I believe in it, but the fact that someone else also believes in
Yeah. It gets validated in some ways.
It's just a validation.
Correct. Excellent. Okay. So, Sina, we are going to move into our final fun segment.
Yes.
So you have 4 stacks of cards here, and they have some very good questions. This is a rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you those questions. You need to answer them in within 3 seconds.
Sure.
Okay. But you can pick any 3. Let's start with the first one. Which one would you do? Okay. So this one. Okay. Maybe you can relate to this. Okay. Would you rather have a co-founder who is a genius but hard to work with, or one who is average but a great team player?
Yeah, so I'm actually, I would prefer the first. I know it might sound a little, but I really love working with geniuses, and most of my career I've actually spent trying to bridge that little bit of a difficult personality with the team. So my role has often been to create a team player out of someone who brings a lot of knowledge, because most geniuses I've met in my life, or most people who are like high IQ or very, very dedicated people, they have a lot of love for what they do.
Yeah.
And if you show the team that love and you find ways of creating that team spirit, it actually does bring the whole team to a higher level. So it might be a little bit of a different answer.
It is a different answer. One aspect of it is, for example, somebody like Steve Jobs said, our job is not to hire the best people and then tell them what to do, is to hire the best people and get out of their way.
Yes.
So, if you know how to get out of their way, and for founders, it's very difficult because they believe they are the only ones who know the passion with which this business has to be built, and hence they have to direct everything.
Yeah.
So it often gets very difficult, but you seem to be Steve Jobs-like.
No, I just, and you're right, of course, in that dynamic with the co-founder, but I'm the CEO, right? So I would always need to have that. You need to be part of that. You need to understand that I'm going to create you I'm going to make you successful in this business, but you have to trust I believe in you and I respect your intelligence, but you have to trust the processes that I'm creating around you to get that to work.
Amazing.
If
Got it.
Makes sense.
Okay, let's pick our second question. This one. Okay. So you want to pick one?
This one.
Okay. Oh, I love this question. I have never managed to answer this myself. If you could time travel,
Yes.
would you rather go back in time to prevent a major mistake that you have made, or go forward in time to see if your startup will be super successful?
I would definitely go forward in time, but that's because, I mean, you caught me in a really good moment, right? We're sort of, we're
happy
moving
moment,
in a
yeah.
happy moment. We're
Yeah.
moving in the right direction. We're onboarding some amazing people to the team and some amazing customers. So for me, it's more now the strategic choices of, do we continue going fast in that direction, or do we also try expanding internationally now, or do we wait? So there are a lot of strategic choices, and I'm really excited to see where that leads us. So I think I would go forward to see where.
I know. It's such an amazing question. I find it very, very, very hard to answer it. And we've had this question come up 3-4 times even yesterday, and we've had some amazing answers. Okay, so now you have these 2 left.
This or that?
So this one, I think, is a trivia set of questions. So maybe you can pick. So this is going to check. Okay, so this is a trivia question. Let's see if we can get it right. Which startup was born out of a hackathon in 2009 and bought by one of the big tech for $26 billion? So let me give a clue. It's a social media platform.
Okay. YouTube. No.
Which one?
YouTube, but that's
No,
not social.
no. YouTube was bought for much lesser by Google.
Okay. I don't know.
Okay, so it's got a blue and white logo.
They all have a blue. Yeah.
Okay, so it's LinkedIn.
Okay.
So Reid Hoffman.
So was bought by Microsoft.
Microsoft, $26 billion. I mean, that's a serious amount of money. But Sim, thank you very much for your time. We've absolutely enjoyed it. Some great insights. Thank you. And we will be delightful to publish this podcast very soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.